So maybe for the first time in 77 years, or at least in the last 40 years, cricket has taken a backseat in Pakistan sports, at least for 1 week or a couple of weeks. Of course, we all heard about the news at the Olympic Games. But we're still here to talk about cricket, even though it is secondary in Pakistan temporarily. But I'm sure it's only a couple of weeks, and then it will be back to it. Although the PCB always gives us reasons to question our commitment to the sport. But at least we're going to be discussing a lot more of the cricketing side of things in this episode. Pakistan, Bangladesh coming up, so we're going to preview that. But as always, in any decision that the PCB takes, whether it's selections or logistics or whatever, they always end up with more questions than answers. So I've got Moin here to maybe answer some of those questions. We'll also preview the series and see what squad balance Pakistan will go with, and then how they're going to mix and match their team. But first of all, Moin, welcome, and finally some cricket coming up for Pakistan.
Before that, happy Independence Day as we're recording on the 14th of August, and in advance to all our sort of Indian supporters. Look, I think the first place to start was a meme that I saw that I think sort of encapsulates everything that I felt in the last week, which is it said, all my cricket traumas have been erased thanks to one javelin throw. And it's so true. It's so true. I mean, and you didn't realize it until it happened. Now give me all the cricket trauma in the last 12 months that Pakistan have been subject to. If you told me at the end that Pakistan will end up winning an Olympic gold, I would have 100% taken it. Literally, it's sort of it's like a switch of a button. All those traumas have been erased. I feel like I have a new lease of life and I'm a new person. Um, I'm not sure how that happened, but like it, I mean, look, it was terrific. I just take a moment to say, look, Ashad Nadeem started his career in cricket, or started his interest in sports and cricket rather, and apparently he was very good. But his brothers were like, look, your local team is only winning because of you, and so the rest of the team is going to hold you down. And he went and pursued an individual sport, and I do believe that that is the biggest sporting victory, the biggest sporting moment in Pakistan's history, right? It beats Imran
Yeah.
Khan of 92, Safraz Ahmed 2017, Yunus Khan of 2009, Hafiz Kardar first test victory in England, and then first victory in India. All these things take second seat because cricket is what, a game of played between 7-8 teams. Even throw in Misbah ul Haq becoming number
Yeah.
one, taking Pakistan to number one in tests and getting the test mace
Or
in
6 months.
2020 for 6 months, and it needed a West Indies India bad light stopping play for 4 days for it to happen. But he got the mace. But regardless, I mean, all this is secondary
Yeah.
because Arshad Nadeem, in a sport that is played by nearly every country in the world, right, and to get there with no support, limited funds to even buy your own javelin is
Yeah.
just remarkable, right? So just a moment
Agreed.
there to say that this is, I think that there's been a lot of debate on which, what's been our biggest sporting moment. I don't think there is a debate. I think it's Arshad Nadeem hands down because of
Yeah.
the against the odds, plus the fact that you're up against many, many, many more countries.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And speaking of big sporting moments and achievements, a home test series against Bangladesh.
I knew it. I knew it. What a segue. The big moment. It's the Bengal Tigers, Bangladesh
Yeah.
coming to Pakistan. Heroic, and sort of really historic, rather not heroic, historic series. More so because of probably this is the first Test match outside of COVID that is played behind closed doors. It is remarkable. And actually, it's a sign of utter disrespect to Bangladesh. Because I
Yeah.
guarantee, Zaid, that had it been England, Australia, India, South Africa, New Zealand, this would never have happened. Not in a million years. I mean, the other boards would be like, what the hell? Like, we won't send our teams. But I think it's a real sign of disrespect. And I actually, the fact that Bangladesh haven't said anything so far, but I'm sure there must be rumblings behind closed doors. I think ultimately, I understand why they've done it, because they want renovation work to be done. But I mean, for all the public holidays that happen in Pakistan, they could easily, those 5 days, they could dedicate to this test match and ask them to work a few Saturdays, or work a few longer hours, or maybe a couple of days in Eid or Ramzan or whatever. I mean, it can work, right? I mean,
Work
you
longer
can't.
hours. There's the investment banker speaking.
Yes, this is, yeah, I sound like an ultimate, cutthroat, no nonsense person. Please, I'm nothing like that. But anyways, I think it's ridiculous. Okay, I think it's absurd. I think they're not expecting many ticket sales. Yes, I think Test cricket has been, that's been an issue for Pakistan, and it's primarily due to the quality of pitches and the draws that come out of Test matches. But the answer to that is not to completely eliminate spectator appearance and close all the doors. It's actually to try and get people in by making the games more exciting. I don't know, just a bit shocking.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the time of the year, so I guess they've had to restrict it to Pindi and Karachi. I think Lahore and Multan, maybe the weather isn't very conducive at this time of the year, so maybe that's why they didn't move it to that. I mean, that would have been the easier option. Just play in a different city, at least get a crowd in. And the other thing is, Karachi has been notoriously bad for attendances. So maybe this is just a way for them to say, okay, well, we couldn't have any fans anyway, so you can't judge Karachi for that. But yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's a farce. It's disrespectful to Bangladesh. I mean, don't forget. I mean, let's not get into the politics of it. But Bangladesh, for them to come to Pakistan, given what's going on in their own country, it's you have to give them respect, and in fact, they've actually flown in earlier to train and all of that. So they've made the effort, and that's not how you treat a visiting team. I mean, it's
diabolical. I mean, and look, for all those one that sort of well versed with why attendance has been so low in Karachi. I mean, look, there are structural reasons. I'm not saying it's all down to the quality of the pitch. If anything, Pakistan's record is the best in the national stadium. I think it's the fact that the stadium is in a place where by when there are matches, a lot of the main roads in Karachi get blocked, etc. Right, so it's not a very convenient location. But look, nonetheless, moving away from this point and actually focusing on the cricket, which is what our host promised us with, and then I completely sidetracked that. But look, just our practice really. Look. In terms of cricket, right? Let's take a moment to look at Pakistan's squad. Okay, this is the first time Pakistan will be playing competitive cricket since the debacle of the T20 World Cup. I'm happy to say that Shan Masood has kept his test captaincy after the rumors that Babar Azam were given all format captaincy. I think Shan Masood is the right choice. I think Shan Masood is a choice for the other formats, or at least two of the three formats at the very least, at least in the short term. But in any case, I'm excited to see Shan Masood lead the team, right? I know when you look at his record, you'll say played 3, lost 3. But in those 3 matches that were played against Australia, in Australia, not only is 3-0 a foregone conclusion, but the fact that Shan Masood got closer than any other captain over the last 20 years in winning a test match in Australia, despite having more depleted resources, especially in the bowling department, which is what we rely on to win matches, speaks volumes of his captaincy. So really looking forward to that. The other point is Saud Shakil as vice captain. Now, I have to say, a bit surprising, but what I liked about it is, and this is where I'm going to, bring in the Karachi-Lahore debate. Look, this is the first time that you have a captain and a vice captain both from Karachi. I looked up, at least in the last 25 years, 30 years since Imran Khan. There may have been before, but in the last it's the first time it's a complete Karachi nexus. I don't know whether that's deliberate. I don't think it is, but we know that there has been a lot of nepotism and favoritism historically in favor of Punjab. So maybe that sends a good message from a structural perspective. from a match perspective, from a game perspective, I think there are still question marks on whether Saud Shakil has a permanent place in that lineup. He used to be a sure shot,
Yeah.
but I think his form in Australia was found wanting. Right? It
Yeah.
felt he didn't have the fire in the belly. He would give up too quickly. Rash shots, he'd lose concentration. It didn't feel as if he could take the game by the scruff of the neck when actually playing against top quality teams. So that's my only question. But I'm glad they have appointed a vice captain. The reason for that is Pakistan haven't typically done well with vice captains, because vice captains, it's your classic. The vice captain thinks he's the next leader in waiting, and there's often, in classic Pakistan style, there's a coup coming up. There's the vice captain gets ideas of usurping the captain, so it's never a very smooth transition. So for a long time, Pakistan didn't have a captain at various moments. But I think the reason why it makes sense in this environment is that you need to break the Shaheen Babar Rizwan hold on the team. And the way to do that, just to make sure there are no qualms, in case Babar thinks he's the vice captain because he's the the limited overs captain. Rizwan thinks he's the vice captain because he's a wicket keeper. Wicket keepers tend to be, if there's no appointed official vice captain, the keeper tends to be that. Or Shaheen, because, well, for whatever reason. So this completely quells all that and says, you know what? That's it. Fresh start, 2 new players, nobody else is vice captain. There is absolutely no doubt or any ambiguity in that, which I think I like.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great decision. Again, yeah, I do question Saud Shakil's. Well, he's a sure shot, but I guess there's nobody in that team who's 100% nailed on to start anyway. So I think it would probably make sense. It is STEMI looking at it into the future. Yes, it's not like you said, so it's not set up for a coup, but these have some sort of a plan in place. And they're giving it to someone, at least with the intention that maybe in a few years, so if he performs well, he can take on the mantle rather than going back to some like a Babar or whatever, and then you'll be back in the circus, which might still happen. You never know, but at least there is some thought to it. And look, yeah, hopefully it does work out. And Shan Musa himself, look, yes, he did lose in Australia, but he's been captaining in the county circuit as well. He was captaining Joe Root of all people. I think Joe Root and Harry Brook as well for a few games. So I mean, he's got the experience. It's not just about the experience; it's just his approach, the way he thinks. His press conferences again. At least he talks cricketing sense. Yes, it's not about education or English, but it's actually the way he talks. I mean, he speaks in Urdu as well, and he speaks sense in Urdu. So that the point is not the language he speaks in, but it's what he says and how he says it. A lot of people just have a way, because he doesn't have phenomenal stats, and some people have a way of discounting him just because of that, and because he speaks good English. But I don't think that should be held against him, just because of what he speaks like, what his accent is like. I think that shouldn't come into it. It is what's the word? It's like a banana peel of a series. If you win, people will be like, yeah, whatever. It's you're expected to beat Bangladesh at home, and if they lose or if they draw, then they'll be like, oh, how can you lose Bangladesh? So I'm not sure there's a lot to gain, but at least from a World Test Championship point of view, and with a couple of big series against England coming up, I think it's a good chance to get the combinations right, get the balance right, and yeah, to in a way break that kind of grouping in the team and make sure that the team starts performing. So overall, there are some positive signs. So let's see how that goes. But moving on, I think the only kind of big questionable or not worrying, but like confusing thing was the squad selection, where they've gone with, in home conditions, with one frontline spinner. And I don't know how many fast bowlers, medium pacers. Amir Jamal, subject to fitness, is the official selection criteria. It seems a bit strange that they've gone. And I mean, sorry, you're gonna kind of break the well, to go back to an earlier point about the Babar Rizwan nexus. The other surprising thing was they've dropped Imam Al-Haq completely. So he's nowhere near the squad again. He was expected, or one of those who's also part of
But
the close to Babar gang.
no, I agree, and that's what happens when you practice diving catches on mattresses. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm kidding. No, look, I think ultimately, I think his fitness. I think there was a clear question on his fitness. You could see it. I'm no expert when it
Hmm.
comes to fitness, but when I look at it, when I look at him, he definitely is not fit. And I
Yeah.
actually quite like that because I think that gives sort of Abdullah Shafiq a lot more sort of responsibility as the senior opener. I think
Yeah.
Abdullah Shafiq, if you want to go with a fresh slate, is your next all format player right now. Whether
And
question mark,
slip fielder.
not slip. That's one thing he will not be. Okay, you can put him anywhere in the field, but please, not in that slip cordon. Okay, but anyways, and then I think same you gets us a vote of confidence because of it, right? Because now
Yeah.
he hasn't quite excelled. Definitely not in the limited overs. Definitely not T20. I mean, I question whether he should be dropped and he should be made to focus on his domestic form before he makes his way back into international cricket. But I think in Test cricket, especially when you're playing at home on relative, completely flat tracks, I think having that impetus and that impetus at the top can help, right? And I actually was quite impressed by the couple of innings that I saw of him in Australia in Test cricket. So I think it's a vote of confidence for him, at least for this 2 Test series. Imam Haq can always come back. And then you've got Shan, Babar, and Sir Shakil, which is who are all locked in. Big question, big eyes on Babar because Babar did not excel in Australia. A lot was expected of him. I think it was because of this whole captaincy drama just prior. There still is captaincy drama, but he needs to start improving that average of his in Test cricket, and that's something he should care about because his big criticism is he cares too much about it. And two, at one time you had everyone saying this Fab Five always, right? Babar Azam was very much in the in the gods of batting, current modern grades. But now you'll notice in the last 12 months, post the ODI World Cup and the Australia series, he hasn't really kicked on, and people have gone back to saying Fab Four and Babar Azam not featuring there. I've seen a slight change in the conversation, where there was a time when Jimmy Anderson, when asked about all the batters and their weaknesses with Babar, he'd be like, no weakness. He had that level of respect. And then now I saw a reel where Adil Rashid had to blindly rank 5 batters. The first was Babar Azam, and immediately, without thinking, said 5. 5. Then he reconsidered a bit when Kane Williamson was brought in. He said 4. He had to say 4, but he was a bit unhappy about that. But you can see that respect has diminished slightly, and that's because he isn't doing that well in the longest, well, in any format, but mainly in the long format. Test cricket is where your reputation is propelled from a very good batsman to a great, right? To a great batter. So that's a quick question on Babar. When it comes to bowling, I think that's your main point.
Yeah. Well, the other point before we get into that is keeping, right? We've got the Rizwan versus Sarfraz at number 6. I think in the Australia series they started with Sarfraz, but I think with Sarfraz he was always on the edge, one failure away from being dropped, just because the support behind Rizwan is huge. And I think now that probably Rizwan is your incumbent, but it could really go anywhere.
Yeah, he's your incumbent. I mean, I definitely think so. I think if you're going to punish Rizwan for his innings against India in the T20 World Cup or his general lackluster performance in the World Cup by dropping him from a Test match, then you don't understand cricket. It's simple as that. Because he is your incumbent. He is the better batter. Yes, for all his technique flaws aside, he is the better batter based on current form, and he is also the much better keeper, right? I mean, Sarfraz is 37. Even at his best, he wasn't as good a keeper as Rizwan. So I think it's a no-brainer. I actually think the batting looks weak with Sarfraz at 6. So if you have Rizwan at 6, Salman Agha, I think will play. I don't think you can play. The point is, and this is the $1 million question, when you think about home conditions, it's very easy for every part of the world to think, oh, what attack should you pick? Pakistan is actually the most difficult for Pakistan to decide, right? But what is home condition, Abraham? Please, can someone explain to me
Yeah.
what are home conditions for Pakistan? At one time, they were spin friendly. Then they became pacer friendly for a brief period, at least, especially in Rawalpindi. And
Yeah.
now it's completely flat.
That's like
So
flat.
it's flat as a pancake. And I don't understand what home advantage we have. Look, and I have some sympathy because we played a lot of our test cricket for the best
Yeah.
part of over 5 years well, more than 5 years, 7, 8 years in the UAE.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
contributed. And there you knew you had to bring spinners in. We used to go in two fast bowlers and Zulfikar and Yasir
Yeah.
Shah. But here, I think you need to have more than Abrar. Okay. I hope
Yeah.
Shan Masood will be aggressive. And look, it's up to the captain. He can ask for a slightly more sporting wicket. So I hope he will ask for a sporting wicket that assists pacers in particular.
Yeah.
But you still need spin in this part of the world because of the dryness and the
Yeah.
heat. So
Yeah.
Abrar and Salman Agha are sure shots, right? Number 7 and
Yeah.
number 11. The question is, who are your three in the middle, right?
Yeah.
I think, I don't care what everyone tells me about Shaheen Afridi and the fact that he's a clutch player for us. Mir Hamza is your first pick, okay, along with Naseem Shah.
Yeah.
They're your first two picks, okay. I actually would say my first pick is Mir Hamza based on his performance in Australia,
Yeah.
and then Naseem Shah returning from injury. They're your two blockbuster, and I think you can't drop Shaheen Afridi, so you feel
Yeah.
him. They're your three, right? Ahmed Jamal misses out. I know Ahmed Jamal has great all-rounder potential, but I see him more as somebody who would compete with Salman Agha for a
Yeah.
place in the team.
But I don't think he has the batting prowess yet.
Correct. Exactly
Yeah.
that. I don't think he's a good enough bowler to be one of your three pacers,
Yeah.
your three frontline pacers at 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And I don't think his batting is strong enough to be an all rounder at number 7. So based on
Yeah.
that, he doesn't slot in either as an all rounder nor a frontline pacer. The only time he slots in is if, like in Australia, we go for an all pace attack and we
Yeah.
drop Abrar Ahmed, then Ahmed Jamal bats at 8, which is quite handy.
Yeah.
But in any case, you have the greatness, the great all-rounder in Shaheen Afridi, and most importantly, the great Naseem Shah, who actually is more of an all-rounder at 8.
Yeah.
I still remember that series against New Zealand. You remember where he had to bat
Yeah. We
out
had to come in at the end. Yeah.
and even smacked a few shots because it was,
Yeah.
I think we could have won had Safra stayed in, but he hadn't, and then it was going to be
Yeah.
draw. But then he hit a few lusty blows, a
Yeah.
bit risky. You're like, oh, we could actually even win this, but obviously it ended in draw. But I mean, I think that's the way. And in terms of who opens the bowling, for me, Shaheen Afridi, because he can only bowl with the new ball, nothing else, and Mir Hamza. They're your opening bowlers.
So you're going with two lefties.
Yeah, because the only thing is because I don't. Both these lefties are good conventional swing bowlers, whereas Naseem Shah has that extra pace, which can make him effective also as a first change.
Yeah.
Whereas
True.
I think Mir Hamza and Shaheen get neutralized if they come in at first change. That's my thing because they're both conventional swing. Naseem Shah has more variety, has the extra pace, so he can come in first change.
Yeah. No, I think that it makes sense. It's probably the same team that I would have gone with. I mean, judging by the squad that they've selected and the fact that they're playing against Bangladesh, who always are, especially these conditions, are known for their trial by spin method. I think that it won't be a spinning pitch. I think it'll be flat, or if anything, maybe some assistance to the seamers, which is difficult to get in Pakistan at this time of the year, given the weather and all of that.
True,
Which is a slightly negative thinking, I guess, where they've gone with the safer option, trying to negate Bangladesh's strengths. But not that Pakistan have a good array of spinners anyway, so maybe it kind of works out where Pakistan are slightly playing to their strengths of fast bowling, and in that negating Bangladesh's strength of spinners, and specifically left-arm spinners, which Babar Azam is an expert against anyway.
Yeah, but what is Pakistan's strength? I actually think their strength is in their part-time spin. They've probably got the best part-time spinner in Salman Agha and Saud Shakil. They've got good part-time spinning options. Not good enough for frontline spin, but part-time spin. That's the only thing I can say. I'm sorry.
I mean, on paper, it's the pace attack, right? But
yeah.
the amount of times it's let us down. So you can't really call it that, but it is. I mean, it's relatively again, it's Pakistan's strongest suite. Um, yeah, spin bowling Abrar. I think he's been uh, well, I mean, not the victim, but actually the opposite of that. He's kind of been praised because of not being in the team, and been appreciated because of not being in the white ball format. People think he's a lot better than what he actually is. But I think he is decent, but I'm not sure he's that amazing.
Did
But we'll see.
Abrar play in Australia? No, he didn't play a single match in
No,
Australia.
I think he only played the only three series he played was like those random T20s against New Zealand
Yeah,
before
but
the
who?
World Cup. Yeah.
No, and he played against England and New Zealand at home. So
Yeah,
clearly there's
I mean,
something
he
there.
took wickets, but he also got smashed in a few games. I
Yeah,
think that's his losing
but
bit.
there'll be a time when he will stop being mystery. So
Yeah,
if the idea is to just preserve the mystery about him by not
yeah,
making him play selectively, that's most idiotic thinking.
yeah,
But in any case, um,
yeah,
uh, just I think ultimately it boils down to Pakistan's approach, right?
yeah,
They need to look at this not as a dead rubber, but they need to think that they can, in theory, make the World Test Championship finals. I know it's extremely difficult because we're playing England at home. I don't care, at home or away,
yeah,
whatever it is. Pakistan
yeah,
are not favorites to win that at all. And Pakistan, unfortunately, have to go to South Africa to play a few
yeah,
test matches. So that is completely going to be the nail in the coffin for Pakistan's chances. But if they can hold their own in at least one of those two series, then they have a long shot chance of making it. I
yeah,
think the only other away series they have is against, was it Zimbabwe?
yeah. Yeah, they've got West Indies at home, England at home, I think Zimbabwe after that.
Zimbabwe and then
Or
South
yeah,
Africa. I know they've got Australia
yeah.
away only for limited
But
overs.
that's only white ball. Yeah, yeah,
Correct. So it's just so I think it's straightforward. I mean, if you gave that to anybody, like, oh, they're playing most of the matches at home. Even West Indies, you would expect us to beat, but
yeah,
you never know. On flat tracks, it could end up being a nil-nil series, right? That's the
yeah,
point. Shan Masood needs to go positively. Pakistan need to just try and make sure pitches are prepared to
yeah,
achieve a result, because draws are as good as losses when it comes to the our
yeah,
position in the WTC rankings. We need
yeah,
wins. Nothing else will do. So I'm hoping that Pakistan play with a bit of purpose and actually, feel like they have nothing to lose and a lot to potentially gain.
yeah.
That's my one pearl of wisdom. Hopefully, Jason Gillespie brings that in. But yeah, that's I think how I would sum up the approach
Yeah,
that
and I
Pakistan
think
should.
the only other good thing, yeah, the only other good thing was just, I mean, I don't think they'll probably get a chance also because it's a two-test series, but to see Mohammad Herrera being rewarded for his domestic form, Kamran Ghulam again, they've been selected in the squad. I don't think they'll start. Maybe Herrera might play the second test if say maybe doesn't play well or some, I don't know. But at least they've been selected, so some domestic form has been rewarded. At least there's some thinking around succession plans and stuff, if the
Which
likes
is
of
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely the right thing to do. Absolutely the right thing to
So,
do.
so I think that was good to see. But yeah, I agree. I think they need to. I don't have a lot of hope for the pitches, especially again, like I mentioned, time of the year and all of that. But hopefully Sean Masood can be a bit creative in his captaincy, and along with Jason Gillespie again, that's the other interesting point. His first series, how that goes. But hopefully Pakistan can come up with the goods, and at least, I mean, yeah, anything with a 2-0 win, from my point of view, would be a failure unless there's some.
Absolutely. It's 2-0. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's no
Yeah,
other way of looking at it, for sure.
yeah, yeah. Cool. So there you have it. Pakistan, Bangladesh. Let us know what you think. Will it be 2-0, or will Bangladesh be rejuvenated and get a result in their favor, or will we see two boring draws, 500 versus 500?
Let's take our predictions. Zahid, what's your prediction?
um, yeah, okay, fine. I'll just go. I'll say 2-0 Pakistan.
I'm tempted to say 1-0 Pakistan, but I think because of, and no disrespect, but I just think with the quality we're up against in Bangladesh, I think we'll end up with 2-0, but it won't be comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's comfortable in Pakistan. And that's a good way to end it on Independence Day. All right. Thank you
All
for
right,
watching.
thanks, I. Thank you.
Thank you.